this the last week of the project on clouds and weather. So although I think we still got another week of May, but it will, because I've only got 3 weeks in June, I thought it would break down to a couple of 4-week projects rather than 5 and 3. So the project for next week, if anyone's interested, or next month, is animals and birds, and that sort of thing. So that's what we, one that was chosen by, I think probably my Tuesday group chose that one. So that's what I'll move on to. So far I've demoed things like clouds. Last week was sort of misty scenes, and I thought this week go on to rain. So I picked this image. It's a photograph I took. I did a picture from this location quite a few years ago, and somebody was quite interested in how I went about painting that. So this was quite a nice place to paint in the rain because there was a nice sheltered bit, so had to cover. Whereas yesterday, that's what I was painting, and I just had my umbrella. So not such good cover. Right, so yeah, I've just really sketched out the figure, and I'm not going to go into great detail with the owl because it's more like the rain. We sort of get the effect of the rain mostly through the reflections, really, on the pavement, and then I could perhaps make a few marks to indicate rain happening. I've started to pre-mix a couple of colours here, so I'm thinking this bit is. This bit reflecting the sky mostly. This is mostly reflecting the Abbey plus a few people, and then obviously this figure here and their reflection. For me, they're kind of like pinky brown colours. So I've got this was a mixture of brown, so burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of magenta or crimson to get a kind of pinky brown. And what I would do is just start off, I'm going to add a little bit of medium to this because this bit of board is quite absorbent. So I would start off just getting some, kind of blocking in some colour. Just some, and this is the water mixable oil, the same medium that I used last week. Just to get something into that area very quickly. Tiny bit of medium. This board is a little bit rough. So that can suffice for the darker bits. That's a little bit here. And the figure, I will really just paint that in more or less as a silhouette, really. So I should do that with some dark tones. A little bit of brown and blue, sketched it out with just a little bit of pastel pencil. The umbrella is just very slightly lighter than the figure, so I'm just lightening that a little bit. And then really the top of it is pretty much all reflection. Go a bit darker again for the figure. And figures like this, I tend to just paint them in almost as a silhouette to start with, and then put in a little bit of subtle variation once there's some paint down. When it comes to the reflection, I think to start with it's a little bit dark there, but you find that the reflections, if it's a dark thing that's been reflected, it generally lightens up a little bit. And then with light things, it's the opposite. A light thing will just very slightly darken. So it averages out the tones a little bit with reflections.
Even though it's under a canopy?
Yeah, this bit, I'm just sort of looking at these colours and tones here. Yeah, that is definitely a little bit lighter than the figure themselves. So presumably there's a little bit of reflected light and then perhaps colour of the stones themselves coming through there. So I'll just lighten that a little bit. this slightly purple. Add a little bit of red to that.
What are you adding to it?
A little bit of crimson, just to, like that. And really, it varies as it goes. I could probably do a slightly darker version of what I've done here. Start with just get some colour and tone down, like that. And then I could probably work into that a little bit, just modify that as I go. So that's the kind of darker bits blocked in. I'll just do a little bit of shadow around there just so that that stands out. The umbrella shape, I've really kept that just as an oval, but it's easiest to draw like an oval shape and then a little bit of an oval over the top and then start getting the angular bits.
Yeah, it's difficult to do umbrella shape.
Yeah, because if you start following those sort of loopy bits, it can all go really out of shape very quickly. So I think that's the easiest way. And then I could just sharpen up the shapes, square angle bits off. Right, get a little bit of light colour down. I'll go for a slightly cleaner brush. So I've mixed a light pink and I'm just going to mix that in with the white because it is very pale, that. Perhaps a tiny bit darker. So really this bit's really reflecting the sky. You know, so it's, you know, what we're seeing is a layer of water over the flagstones. It's acting as a mirror. And then every so often you see slight variations in there. That can go in there. Something around there. And then a little bit this side. That's the basic shapes blocked in. So once I'm there, I can then work into that a little bit. We've got all these figures up the top and they're reflecting a little bit. Actually, the abbey itself is reflecting slightly yellow there, and then we've got the windows reflecting there. So I might start with the abbey. So I'm just adding a little bit of yellow ochre into a darkish mix. Just see how that looks. It's going to be a little bit too dark, so a bit of the grey white mix I've got here added in. That's probably about right. It's slightly lighter than some areas. And then leave a gap for where the window would be. Here. I think the window itself is a bit darker. I'll just darken that a tiny bit. And then go back to this tone, some suggestions of the bits of stonework reflected. The people, their reflections, people in the distance. That's just going to be little bits coming down like that. Just really a few marks would suggest that, I think. Just slightly break them up a bit. Maybe a little bit of colour reflected too. There's some bits of red in there. I can add some of those in. And then the actual flagstone. So some of these, this bit here seems a little bit bluer. This one's a little bit warmer. So I mean, there's probably bits in between, but if I just concentrate on those ones, just make that slightly darker, slightly bluer. And then this one a little bit yellower. So just add a little bit of cadmium, sort of like a cadmium colour, warm orangey colour into that. So a bit of orange actually, that might be better. Just kind of add that into the mix. make that pavement shape. The other thing that we see is we see the edges of flagstones. So some come out dark like that one, some come out light. These are really nice old weathered chipped flagstones, so they're not all regular shapes. So popping a few edges in here and there. You would do this freehand or with some sort of straight edge if you wanted. Some are dark and light, like just here there's some darker marks. And perhaps going up like that, let's just add a bit of medium. Perhaps a little bit paler as I go back in space, that's a bit too dark. It just helps to break the surface up and give that impression. There's a few slightly darker ones back here. And then the lighter ones, got some nice light edges here. Doesn't have to be too bright, but it just needs to be maybe this lighter, slightly pinky colour. And then just going back in space, just making them closer together. Got a few running through the reflection here. That's a bit heavy. And perhaps a few darks too. Can't really see the angle, I think it's something like that. A few kind of verticals. And just need to be aware of the perspective that will, the ones over here will angle in a bit like this. And then that will finish at a vanishing point up here somewhere. So I think where I was standing, they're going to be fairly vertical, but just angling a little bit. When trying to paint the rain itself, there are a few, you can just see a few tiny little speckles on the pavement, but it doesn't really read that well as rain. And I find that when I take photos of it really chucking it down, it doesn't always show up very well. So sometimes just kind of paint your impression of it. So I think where you're going over a figure, or something dark, just go a bit lighter. So I find sometimes a few lines like that might give the impression. And then if it's over a lighter bit, you just want to do the opposite, just darker, make a darker mark. So like these bits here, sort of some angled marks, perhaps not too regular. That's a bit heavy in there. Wipe that back. But something like that, I think, is a way of kind of suggesting. So easy.
Yeah.
They're easy.
So many different colours you wouldn't think in there, isn't there?
There is, it's lovely, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, this is just a photo of it, but the colours are, really look for, down here it's a lot cooler, up here it's a lot warmer. You're seeing reflections of, like the abbey, but you're also seeing the stone colour through them sometimes.
It's bath, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no reason you haven't put the pillars in, you left them to last.
No, just because it just need to do something quickly, really. It just take me too long. I didn't paint the pillars when I was there, though. I really just painted that section. It would be quite nice, actually, to have had, like a wider view. And when I was painting, there's this guy here setting up his music, and he was a bit upset that I was standing there painting because I thought I was in his pitch and I was getting distracted from collecting his dues. But that would I would have quite liked to have included him. But it was only a little paint. It was only that size, and when I'm really close up to things, it's hard to paint, shrink everything down. So the pillars would, you know, when I was there, the pillars would have been too close to me, too big to paint without a bigger canvas sort of thing. But yeah, quite nice actually with the pillars and that front view.
Very nice.
Okay. That's great. Okay, I'll let it crack on. Quite often.
Yeah.
That one will work. Yeah, just do as much. Yeah. No.